Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Suited Kings podcast. Today, we've got another special guest. He's won the last two MSPT Player of the Years. So let's welcome Umut Ozturk to the podcast. And we're going to just list off some of his stats he's accumulated, mostly over the past couple of years here. In the MSPT circuit, he has $675,000 of earnings. He's finished in the top 10 14 times.
That's insane.
He has won an MSPT championship. He has 48 main event cashes. And as I said, this all pretty much has happened in the last 2 years. So welcome, Umut. We're glad to have you today.
Dude, so hyped to have you, Umut. Welcome.
Glad to be here. I mean, I've been looking forward to talking to Wes Cannon. I got a story for him.
Okay. Do you want to start off with
All right,
that?
I'm curious.
Yeah. Prior to starting out, I want to recognize Jerry Cunniff for making MSPT Hall of Fame recently.
Congrats to Jerry. Yep, absolutely.
It's an amazing accomplishment. It's so hard to get in. I know that a couple of my other friends like Dennis Thieremer and DJ Buckley need a win to get in. So
both incredible players too.
Yeah, sick players. So this all started because of Wes Cannon, my last 4 years of my poker journey. And it started inadvertently because Paul Carney, our mutual friend, in 2021 told me and some of our poker buddies how Wes Cannon was top 5. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? This kid hasn't even played. He doesn't have any hand in mob. And you are like blowing this kid up to top 5. And so he says that, and 2 weeks later or whatever, Wes gets, I think, third in
Riverside.
Yep. 70K, right?
Yep.
That's when he finally, broke his little big cash bubble.
Yep. He gets a 70K score, and then I remember Carney saying, Wes is in his top 5, and this is when Saad was hot. You guys remember Saad Ghanem?
Yeah, Saad. Kaka! He'd always yell like a bird.
He used to be so hot, and and that Saad was also in Carney's top 5 back in the day. And I'm thinking, at first I said, Carney doesn't know crap. Then Wes got the score, and I remember before that event, Carney jokingly and meaningfully called me a donkey. Which I still am a donkey. I have no problems admitting that. Then I go to this tournament, and on that Saturday, I ended up punting like 40 bigs at level 7.
Oh, okay.
And I stand up after I bust out, and this old guy from Iowa turns to me and says, "You might be the worst player in this room."
No way. After you busted?
After I busted as I stood up. And a couple of other people will vouch for this story because Rodney Colson knows this one. And I stood up, and he turned to the other guy and said, "What a gift." So, of course, I'm coming home that night, and I'm thinking about Carney and Wes. And Wes still hadn't won because we had to wait one more day, for all that big money for the third place. And he gets third place. Now I'm questioning my life choices. If Carney thinks I'm a donkey, he's right. And if Wes is a top 5, he's right about that. And then Wes just rocket ships up in his ascent in 2021, 2022.
100%.
And that was that. So after that, I had to figure out what to do. And then I did. Thanks to Wes, because he was the young wizard at the time.
So Wes was one of the players you looked up to. I guess this is a great time to ask, who are some other Minnesota players, or not even, let's not restrict to Minnesota. Who are some other players that you have looked up to that have motivated you to kind of start grinding as hard as you have?
Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and start with our bracelet winners, Richie,
Alsip, yep.
Look, the game has changed and evolved in the past 10 years with all the tools that we have to get better.
Yep.
And Richie Alsop, Robbie Waz, those guys stood the test of time. As the game evolved, they still kept getting podium finishes.
100%.
They won bracelets in the past couple of years. They both did in the same event.
While rooming together.
Yeah,
while they were
pretty
rooming
crazy
together. But I tell you what, I think Ian Matakis, whenever he won WSOP Player of the Year, people don't understand. He didn't win just Player of the Week or Player of the Day. He won the entire thing.
Yep.
And he's from Minnesota. And the fact that he did that was so inspirational. But then before him, we had guys like Aaron Johnson, guys, where he won both MSPT Player of the Year and Heartland Poker Tour Player of the Year.
Yeah, I remember that.
The same calendar year.
Yep.
You know how incredible you have to be that consistent for 38 weeks on 2 separate tours to just win Player of the Year. Ian's accomplishment's unbelievable. I'd say Aaron Johnson's accomplishment is pretty damn close up there too, because he's so amazing and so sick. And then my last guy that I really think is pretty amazing is Ku Wang. And, you know, these are all the usual suspects.
You nailed it, man.
Yeah, Ku. I mean, these guys, I love the way Ku, Ian, and Richie, John Redding, a bracelet winner, another guy that
a good friend of ours.
Yeah, good friend.
Works hard, that I look up to the way he carries it himself. I mean, he just had a big score in Wisconsin.
He did. Yep.
Yeah, he won the
$400
but he won the
MSPT
400.
opening event.
Yeah,
for like over 50 something K.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. For a $400 event, this guy shipped it, and then you know, we have all these amazing players that are around us. They are accomplished players around the country, not just in MSPT and other events. Then, you know, whenever we talk about Minnesota poker, objectively speaking, I can't leave out Blake because he's got what, $4.5 million in earnings. He's been dominating for years.
Facts.
I mean, he's the GOAT. So it is what it is. But my personality is a lot similar to, I think, the way I play is locally when I go to these events is similar to, I don't know. I love the way Ku carries himself, Aaron and Ian. Those are my guys. But around the country, I think Josh Reichard is the best mid-stakes player in the country.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Right,
name a lot of
field
guests that we've
tournament
had on
mid-stakes.
here.
He just kills it.
Yeah, Reichard. I mean, Reichard kills it. You know, he kills it in anything. I mean, during the main event this year, he ran deep. You know,
got second in the mini main too.
Yep.
He did.
DJ Buckley. He's got 100 million cashes in MSPT, chasing a Hall of Fame.
That is a
I'll go
stat.
and wager any amount of money with anyone that wants to slide into my DMs. He's going to be an MSPT this year. So
I
my
love that.
DMs are open.
I would never put it past you. I mean, as I texted you this earlier about DJ, I mean, he is so overdue. And it's like, I don't know if it's variance or what, because he's out there, he's grinding just as hard, if not harder than everybody, and he has the skill set to do it. I mean, he has just a plethora of cashes, and now we refer to him as the $1 million man, as you said, as you kind of coined him as.
$1 million question, right? Will DJ Buckley win an MSPT this year?
Yeah.
I'll go in and one up that. I think he's going to win an MSPT, and if he plays the full schedule at the WSOP, he's going to win a bracelet too. I just think he's so due. I mean, you don't pull $1 million one year and not win a bracelet the next.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, he should be able to fire whatever he wants.
Umut, one thing I want to mention, as you're bringing up all these great Midwestern players, I mean, the best, to come out of these states up here. I want to, mention that it is incredible how you've carried yourself as you've gone through all the success recently, and you have that same sort of humbleness and attitude that is very admirable. Excuse me, I can't speak today. Yeah, no, but you're just very kind to everybody, and I can appreciate. You hold your emotion with, I don't know how to word this correctly, but you know how to curb your emotion, and like you said, you had a guy who told you the worst player in the States, and you just took that like it was nothing, walk away, and it's like,
yeah, I mean, what else am I supposed to say? I mean, I have blown up in poker rooms before.
I think we all guilty of it, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I have blown up in the past in poker rooms to players, but not because they insulted me. It's because they insulted someone else at the table.
And I like that, and I think that's more fair.
And I have a problem because those, we don't want Rex like me to not come back and play more if someone that's very good berates me.
There's that humbleness.
There's that humbleness. You want me to keep coming back, guys. I mean, it's incredible. But I tell you guys what, I think Minnesota has amazing amount of talent. There's so many unknown players that if they played as much as I have, they would have easily accomplished what I have done. They just haven't had the opportunity. Like a Kevin Kelly or Kevin McMahon, these guys are due for a massive scores.
Thank you for bringing those up. Though a lot of their name goes well under the radar, and they are hard grinders, and they are very good players. So I appreciate you bringing them up.
Yeah, that actually brings me to the question I was going to ask. So you kind of mentioned players that have sort of stood out in the state of Minnesota, or Josh, is from Wisconsin, but Midwest, whatever. So who would be some of those other players that you think maybe they're the young people now, or just anyone who's sort of flown under the radar, but who has a lot of talent?
Yeah, well, the question that you should ask me is, who do I think the next Wes Cannon is? Who am I going to say?
You can phrase it that way. You can phrase it that way.
Oh, God. Wes's head is just literally growing on screen here.
Who's going to be my next top 5 where I could pull a Carney out of my butt and say, that's the guy? All right? I mean, look, Carney, when he said that, to this day, I'm like, how did he spot this dude? All right? That's one. 2, he says that to me, and 2 weeks later, you do what he says. And then here I go on a 4-year mission. I'm a donkey. I know Carney said I'm a donkey. I get it. But, I had to lockbox my way to prove a point for 4 years just to be in Carney's top 5. And I don't think I'm still in it. And when he listened to this, and you guys, I'll tell you what right now, Paul Carney, if he plays 10 events this year, that's 1K events, he's going to win one of those 10 events. Again, my DMs are open for our fellow Minnesotans. Slide right in if you don't want to do any kind of wagers. And I'll have my own backers, backing me in case I can't afford the bets.
Oh, I'm going to stay out of your DMs because I feel like you might have nailed this one, honestly.
Well, here we go. My top 5, the chances of being the next Wes Cannon. This is in no specific order. Tanner Cray.
Yep.
Yeah, Tanner, I played with him in Milwaukee. We were down to about 45 players. He made a massive fold after a 4-bet. He's going to be amazing. He's going to have a major score. Arlo.
100%. Yep.
Arlo, I can't pronounce his last name. Arlo, everybody knows.
The Mustache Man.
Mustache Man, we'll call him. Arlo S.
I always thought he'd be next up. I remember texting that to Ian. I said, this is the next one up. I think Arlo. Then we have, Joe Larson.
Yep.
Then we have Joe Osterbauer Jr. He's super GTO, learning the game, who's been killing the dailies. Garrett Dwyer. And one name that you guys really need to watch out for is Eric Zhang. If you know him, he's a Minnesota guy. He just went deep in the free roll at the WPT, finished 9th.
Okay. Wow.
What kind of score did he get from that?
Like 27,000, but right before
from zero.
From zero on the free roll. Then right before that at Seminole Hard Rock, he finished like 29th in the $3,500 event.
Okay. So he's firing these bigger events then.
Oh, yeah. And then, he just won our local one that was a $400 event for 15,000.
Okay.
He had or 250 or 350, whatever, a couple of weeks ago. He maxed late raged. And these younger guys like Garrett, Joe, Tanner, Arlo,
Leo's got to be in there too.
Huh?
Leo has to be in there. Leo Pinamonti.
Oh my gosh, Leo. The guy won the MN Poker Mag Player of the Year.
Yeah.
That's 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I got robbed because Preston didn't count that. My MSPT score in the main event at Running Aces. Then Vic had the win, so I've been picking on Vic for that this whole time, But those are your young guns, fellas. I mean, if these older players like myself, if we are not evolving and getting better with the tools that we have out there, these guys will take over. And only older players that are actually safe are, your legends, your icons, your Richies, the Robbies, the Blakes, and Coos, Ians, Aarons. Those guys.
Yeah. The OG. Ian's not old though.
But he's still kind of an OG.
Yeah,
he's still been around.
He's old in poker years, but he's. I think he's 3 years younger than I am.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an old soul though. He's just a smart young dude.
He's just amazing. He's just amazing. I mean, these guys.
I just want to mention two more young guys before we move on from that. I thought we might want to add to this list. Now that I'm intruding on your list, I apologize.
I can't remember his name. There's a player that played. He's got longer hair, super young kid. He played in the Canterbury Main. He played in the Canterbury High Roller.
Is that Aiden? Aiden or Carson?
Aiden
Ferguson.
Aiden Ferguson.
Yep.
That's who I was about to add to the list. And then also one of our friends, Carson Mayer. Another young
Carson Mayer. Yeah, I'm
Carson
good friends
Mayer,
with him and his brother.
I love his game. Look, I know all these young guys because I used to grind the dailies here because I remember a long time ago looking at Joe. My friend James Wilson sent me a thing about Joe McKeon.
Yeah.
And before Joe McKeon became Joe McKeon, if you guys go look at his Hendon Mob, he was crushing these dailies over and over in Philadelphia. All right. So for a year and a half, 2 years, I got like 300K in scores just from Canterbury that won't count in the top 100 in the Minnesota because it's a $250 event or a daily on Hendon, you know? So my point is I know these young guys because I played with them the last 2 years and they confuse the shit out of me sometimes. They're on the thing with Wes. I'm like, what is happening here? We had a hand with Wes at Riverside where I was witnessing his greatness. Wes raised from the big blind. I wasn't in the hand. I'm sorry, Wes raised from the button with 7-8 suited. I don't know if you remember this one, Wes. This was at Riverside, 7-8 suited, buddy.
Okay.
And then he proceeded to bet the flop, check the turn, and then bomb the river and just outplayed this legend from Iowa, you know, or an Iowa player. And,
someone had to say it.
Yeah, and I never thought in a million years that Wes would be, you know, raising from the button the way he did. It was just sick. So these guys are very versatile. They are different breed.
Okay. I agree with you. And I think you nailed the list. I mean, there might even be, here's the thing, Minnesota in general, like if you go and play any of these local Canterbury weekly tournaments or weekend tournaments, these kids are coming out of the woodwork and they're all freaking good. And not only that, they're all friends. So they're all shooting the shit with each other and running hands by each other and they're all improving incrementally. And it, you know, it's awesome. It's scary because that's more competition for us three, right? But
it's exciting also, too.
It's awesome to see because all three of us remember what it was like, you know, back in 2014. Well, not Wes, he was still in diapers, but you and me, Umut, you know, back in 2014, we were shooting the shit, playing dailies every day, just trying to build the role. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you, I know Max forever. Wes, whenever he won in Tama, his big MSPT score, I was so happy for this handsome fuck.
I appreciate that.
Oh my gosh, he came out of nowhere. I mean, he had a good score a couple of months earlier, and then boom, he shipped an MSPT. And you know,
it was a dream come true at that time. Yeah, it was a dream come true at that time. Yeah, I remember that. I'm ready for another one though. Frick, man, it's been 7 years or something, 8 years.
Before I go one step further, David Gania is one of the best players in Minnesota, bar none. I forgot to mention him. Gania is another player that has stood the test of time. So, like I said, no disrespect to anyone when I'm just spewing out names. It's just that it's no specific order. But if you ask me who's the best player in Minnesota right now, in no specific order, it will be Ian Koo and Richie.
Yeah.
Then another one would be, besides Gania, who's a killer, is Matt Kirby.
Matt Kirby, he's an OG.
Huh?
He's an
he
OG.
Hasn't played as much
recently
since I've been around, but I know he won 3 MSPTs.
He goes deep, fellas.
He
and
does.
Then, you know, when you look at the numbers, you can't not mention Crazy Carl.
There you go.
You can't forget Crazy Carl. I mean, Arizona State poker champ this year. Has won 3 or 4 MSPTs in like 1 year time. Another just legend. You know, that's the beautiful thing about poker, Wes and Umut, is that like all these people have such different styles and they all find success in their own way. And that's so awesome. Like they just, there's not just one right way to play. And these people have proven that they've figured out how to do it their way. And I love that about it.
One more name I wanted to mention, who maybe he doesn't count as an up and coming player anymore because he's had some big results, but our recent guest, Jason Hoffman, too.
Yep. And yes, can't forget Jason Hoffman as well as part of that young crew that's just killing it.
Jason Hoffman and his brother Nick are two sickos.
Does he have his brother play poker?
Nick Hoffman.
I think they played the tag team together, but I don't
I've never met his
that.
brother. Okay.
Yep. Jason Hoffman. I know him. He sucked out on me at running aces on a daily when he won first and I got third, and I'm still bitter about it.
I can tell. I can hear it in your voice.
I can't wait to get on the same table with him and do some bullshit like 9-7 off or 7-3 and just crack his aces and tell everybody I'm the worst player he has ever played with. I take a lot of pride in that. You know, when I'm willing to burn money with 7-3 off just to make a point.
But you prove, I mean, and you prove your points well. You come in and you just shit on them, so that's amazing. I do want to ask you. So we've talked about, you know, the greatest players coming out of the Midwest, the new young guys coming up. How did you find poker? And I know that your brothers play poker as well, right? Is that something that you guys kind of got into together?
Yeah. So my little brother Blut got into it first.
Yep.
And I used to watch him play. Then Kanat got into it. And even our own family. I don't even think I'm the best player in our family because if my brother Kanat and Blut would play consistently like I have, they would have better results and they would be more successful, I believe.
I agree with that.
Huh?
I agree with that.
Different. Yeah, they are just different than I am. They are more calculating in day ones versus me, where I'm willing to take if there's two all-ins in front of me on level 4 and I got 100 bigs and I got 9-7 suited, it's going in. If they show, I mean, look, it is what it is. I will do crazy stuff in day one to maximize my chances of taking a big stack to day 2, and as long as the buy-in period is open, I'm playing by the rules like everybody else.
Can we linger on that for a minute? What is your strategy going into a day one? Obviously, one thing before you get into this, one thing I want to mention is that, and I've been telling this, a lot of people this recently, is I think one of your biggest strengths is, and this is just from my viewpoint, correct me if you feel like I'm wrong, is that you have the ability, while you do, you're like, all right, we're going to just go for it here and try and bring the biggest bag into day 2. Unlike a lot of other players that do that, you have the ability to adapt or change your gear to be able to then play that stack differently so you don't just punt it all off. You know what I'm saying? Tell me your strategy going from the beginning of day 1 and then once you have a big stack going into day 2, how that adjusts.
Yeah. So without getting into any names, when all this stuff happened with Wes being a top 5 and me being called a donkey in Iowa. After that, I searched for coaches that would be able to help me.
Okay.
For day ones, I needed to understand how to play exploitive poker, where I could maximize my potential based on my bankroll to build a massive stack. So I don't normally buy into day ones in MSPT till levels 8 or 9. Because I know I could play 10 or 12 bigs better than the field.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So and that may be the most cocky that you'll hear me sound today. So one of my coaches that has shown me what to do, he's not from America.
Okay.
Showed me how to play day 1 poker. My other coach from Europe, which cost a lot of money, whatever, in the last.
Not cheap, yes.
Years. But I made it all back. It was
facts.
I believe that.
It was worth it. And my other coach showed me how to become a rock on day 2 and chip preserve and play position and play GTO, because nobody expects me to change gears going from an absolute lunatic in day 1 to being somebody totally different in day 2. That's why it's so easy for me to get chips. And then if I just decide to, become a nit, nobody expects that, guys. I mean,
and then you exploit, so you exploit your previous image essentially. That's
right. So there's an exploitive poker on day 1, then there's exploitive poker of exploiting my own image. And it works. I mean, look, Max and I had hands before, where Max got there with clubs at running aces.
I remember this.
And I had settled jacks. I flopped a set. He flopped the world, and he got there. But the next day, he busted me. I sent him a nice text. I said, "You're gonna ship this? Let's go." And he got, I think, second for 38 or 48K. I can't remember. What was it, Max?
Yeah, I think it was like 37, 38K. Yep.
A week before he was getting married.
Yep, a week before my marriage. Yep.
If I knew he was getting married the following week, I would have never got into that hand with this guy. Because that's all the good karma. How am I supposed to be the guy that's actually going to need the cash?
No, facts, because weddings are not cheap, and you know that.
I know. Yeah. So yeah, man. So my 2022 after Wes's success was really hard till the end of the year because I couldn't understand some of the things that I was learning because, you know, when you are as old as me and you are trying to learn new strategies, you are trying to learn GTO, then you are on PIO and etc. and everybody else got something new. Then I had to put the blinders on, figure out how to play GTO, listen to my coaches. Then it was 120 hours per year per coach the last 2 years, and we don't do anything during the series. There's 6-week period where we have breaks. So if anybody is out there that's like saying, "Oh, do I have the talent? Do I have this?" Hey, man, you guys are seeing me doing well right now because I had to learn a different game on day twos and day ones. People like when we look at Ian and Koo and Richie, and they have these outstanding scores, or Blake or Mark Sandnes, we see the finished product. But we don't see behind the curtain and be able to pierce it and say, well, shit, these guys have been studying for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, grinding away. Josh Reichart sleeps with freaking charts on the ceiling in his room. That's the kind of lunatic he is. He's trying to figure out how to play 7 bigs. He likes to buy in at level 12 for 7 bigs.
Yeah,
and he builds heaps, million. But people don't realize. They say, "Oh, Josh is so lucky." No, he's not lucky. That luck was earned.
Yeah. Well said. And I'm glad that you brought up that, you know, and you're 100% right. People see the glories, but they don't see, like you said, what's under the hood, the effort that went into it behind. They only see the results of it. And then you can easily say it's luck. But no, all these people you're naming have put in, you know, effort beyond what you can even expect or understand. So
and then some players are so good that they learn something new. It takes them some time to adjust. While they're adjusting, they are going through that downswing. And then you hear, you know, the peanut gallery, well, oh, he used to be good. He's not good anymore. And I'm thinking the whole time, and I hear that, man, you don't know what he's doing behind the scenes. Then they come out of nowhere. They go in a little slump. They have a 200K score in a 25,000 player field. And then they turn around and go 100K score at the Fall Poker Classic. I'm talking about top 5 here. I mean, because he's always adjusting. I mean,
this sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's probably playing 10,000 hands online a month and figuring out and studying those hands of what to do next. So when this guy goes on a slump or tries something different from the button with 7-8 suited and then gets there, people are like, well, I thought he wouldn't play like that. I thought Wes Cannon was tighter. You know? Then you realize there's a method to the madness. And anytime a player is going through a slump, I'm thinking, well, they're going to come back bigger and stronger. And
that's a great attitude to have.
100%. Yeah.
You know, Max, what you said is true. Like, you don't see, or what both of you just said, you don't really see the work that goes in behind the scenes. But also, yeah, you don't really see the downswing or the slump as much. Like, you can see, you know, Umut, you listed off a bunch of players who have all had moments in time where they have a bunch of really big scores, but, you know, at different times or different years, it'll be different ones, different, you know, not everyone is having all those scores at once. And so you could see someone have a few big scores in 2022 and then 2024. And it's, you know, in your head, it's like, oh, they're crushing, but then you might not realize, like, oh, they still, you know, they still have those swings where it feels like everything's going wrong, or they're just making the wrong decision every time in a 50-50 spot. Like, so everyone has times where they go through that stuff. And yeah, it's just like I think what sets people apart is the ones who take that as motivation to really get better, kind of how you got your motivation there too.
Yeah, I mean, it all started with Carney calling you top 5 and calling me a donkey. So we went full circle today, buddy. And I agreed with him. After you did what you did, I told him, how the heck did you spot it? I was wondering that. I remember Koo saying Ian was next up.
Yep.
All right. And
I remember that as well.
I'm thinking about, and I'm telling Koo, I'm thinking, Koo, you're out of your mind. You can't make this kind of prediction. But Koo was seeing the work that was being put in, where the rest of us was oblivious to what was happening.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then when Ian wins Player of the Year, everybody's like, "Oh, this guy came out of nowhere." No, he didn't. The guy's playing 10,000 hands a month online, and then he's turning around and working on hand histories with his coaches and how to fix it. I tell you what, in a little bit, I'll tell you guys who I struggle against the most besides these big names.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to be surprised. Those guys are killers. They just haven't, in some cases, haven't had the success. I mean, look, last 3 months in 2024, I think I made the redraw like 4 or 5 times. I can't remember. I final tabled twice. But last year was such a downswing for me as far as what I made in 2023, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I made more in the last 2 weeks in 2025 than I did in 2024. And in poker, variance is real for players that understand it.
Yep.
And when we get to that inflection point, when we are getting it ahead with ace king, or we flop a flush and they go runner quads, that's variance. It's not because we did something bad or we played it bad. The chips went in when you were ahead. All you can do is get it in good in day 2, day 3s, day 4s. And as far as buy-ins goes, Max, I like to touch this. If a player fires 30 times in an event and they still win that event, one, you got to look at, my goodness, this guy has the mind of steel. You know how hard it is to fire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times and keep walking to the cage when the locals are making fun of you?
Dude, I'm so glad. You know what? Respect for you bringing this up on your own accord. You know what I mean? Like, you hear people talk and they can talk shit, but then they see your results and then they don't know how to respond to it. And I appreciate you taking the time to talk about this.
Look, me and DJ Buckley in San Diego before he hit his million, we were playing on Saturday, so smaller field. We were taking turns walking back to the same table. All right, rebuying. And I'm stuck maybe 8, 9 bullets. In poker terms, 8, 9 bullets is a lot. In real world, if I was telling this to my wife, who will probably listen to this podcast when she's bored, she'd be like, "What? You fired 8, 9 times? How much is that?" So in the real world, implications of what we are doing is very high, because that's a mortgage, that's a car payment, that's a whole bunch of other stuff, groceries. I mean, but DJ and I were taking turns rebuying, going back to the same people, and same player was busting us every time.
Yeah.
And finally, someone turned to me and said, "Hey, man, is it really worth it? You're going to min cash for 2,200. All right." And then I looked at him and I said, "Chances are you're going to see me or my buddy DJ's picture in the top 2 tomorrow, and you're going to regret what you said."
Yeah.
So I got second. We got DJ unstuck. I got myself unstuck. But my point is, when I fire 15, 20 times locally here in a $400 event, and people who I like are talking about me when I don't make day 2, and they say, "Well, he's a lunatic, I don't understand it." Well, in the local 400 guys, I'm having fun. There is no pressure for me. I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm shooting shit. It could be worse. I could be firing in a $3,500 event 10 times. It's a matter of perspective. But my point is, when someone, look, man, I saw a player from Minnesota at Deadwood. besides myself, who made the final table with me last year in 2023 or 20 whatever. We made the final table together. He was in for a lot of bullets. People were making fun of him, and I saw the best fold I ever seen in my life, where the flop came out queen 7-7. My guy had aces. He checks the flop. This local player rips it. My guy folds aces up, comes down to having only one blind, and finishes third for 38K.
Good man.
Right? But the same people that are making fun of this guy for rebuying, or making fun of me, or making fun of some of our other players who has backers who do back them, or making fun of someone like Rijkaard. Hey man, if Rijkaard fired, if me or Rijkaard or Wes or you guys fired 25 times at fire keepers and you got second for 250K,
you'd be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what are we doing here? And my thing is, that's why I just stopped playing as many local events now as two. I was really butthurt at the beginning of the month when, I have a lot of friends in that room. I got a lot came back to me. Oh man, yeah, we heard you fire 10 times or 12 times, and people were talking crap. But what they don't understand is, hey man, I'm having fun. That's only 4 buy-ins for an MSPT.
How does that affect you, Umut? Is that noise to you, or does it affect you emotionally inside?
It used to affect me 5 years ago when I was unprepared. When someone like Carney called me a donkey, it affected me, right?
Yeah.
Turn that into a hunger.
Yeah, I'm still a donkey. Look, I admit, and I can't change people's opinions, which I'm okay with. I only care about I care about people like Dennis Stevermer's opinion, DJ Buckley's opinion. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I care about what Tom Hammer says to me about my play. I care about those guys' opinion because I consider those dudes friends. And then I have other friends that tell me that I have made a mistake in this hand, and I take it and I say, yeah, you're right. I'm going to find out if I did or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are right, sometimes they aren't. It's when people that talk negative about you, who you think were, these are the same people that send you text messages telling you how awesome you are. Then next day you find out they're at the day 20400 and they are just bashing you or being a lunatic. I told my wife that was the first time that bothered me ever. That was in a long time, in like 5 years, this January. So I told my wife I'm not playing any more local events till MSPT.
Okay.
MSPT running aces, and that's what I'm going to do because people don't understand when I play local events, or when someone like Robbie fires 20 times on a 400. Not that I'm saying he did. That's not what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Or anyone else. These guys are out there to have fun. It's easier for them to play at that price range versus something else. It used to bother me a lot, Max. It no longer bothers me. I without realizing, I became like Brian Lesky would like to say, I became the face of the franchise the last 2 years for MSPT.
Yeah.
Which I didn't deserve, because the real faces, if Ku Wang or Ian or Aaron or Matt Kirby or David Gania, John Redding, if those guys played as much as I had the last 2 years, or you two, I don't win Player of the Year. So it's a matter of perspective, fellas. I know where I'm from, and I know what I am, and I understand that there are levels to this game.
Yep.
All right. The people that I have listed are at a level different than I am, including you two. Just because if you guys play as much as I have at the MSPTs, I'm 100% sure you guys are finishing in the top 3. It is what it is. I just happen to luck box my way into 2 Player of the Years, and because of that, I became a limited purpose public figure where the locals recognize who I am. I'm easy to talk to, but yet at the same time, not every word is kind. It doesn't bother me anymore. It did in January, but after finishing 4th last week and finishing 2 weeks ago, I'm finishing 2nd in
Milwaukee.
I could deal with people talking shit.
I want to say that, well said, honestly. And obviously your humility, or you're just very humble, as we've mentioned a million times here. What like the fact that you're so committed and so consistent, I think you're overlooking that. You are going out and firing all of these, and that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of emotional stability as well. Because like you said, a lot of these people couldn't go and handle busting this many bullets emotionally. They would lose it. I mean, you are putting in the time, and I think that's just as important as any other efforts you put in, if that makes sense.
And
Agreed.
it helps it helps to have a great support system. Max is his wife. All right. Wes, I don't know who he is. He's just so handsome.
Wes is in the dating world again now. He's been dating.
So I don't know, whatever it may be. But my point is, my support system in 2023 for MSPTs, when I won Player of the Year, I only played Saturdays.
I remember hearing about that.
Yep. In 2024, last year, when I won Player of the Year, I played more on Fridays and Saturdays.
Okay.
This year, I wasn't really committed to playing as much, but then I went to Canterbury. I got buried. Then I went to Biloxi, and I used to live in Biloxi, Mississippi, so I went down there to play in the heater with DJ Buckley, and I didn't get buried. I was in for 3 bullets in 2 days, which I was fine with. Then I showed up in San Diego because I'm the MSPT Player of the Year. I have a commitment to the brand. And I'm an ambassador for MSPT, and I take that very seriously. And I got destroyed in San Diego. Now I'm down, I don't know, 25, 30K in the first 3 weeks of the month. Then we get back to even in Colorado, finishing 4th for 43. Then this past week, we got 160K. Now we are up for the year.
You got 4 final tables in the last 3 months, Umut.
Yeah. But the roller coaster is real. What people don't realize is when your top players, or even someone that's not a top player, that's firing 10, 15 times and they're final tabling. All right, guys?
Yep.
It takes a lot of mental strength and emotional stability. I have my wife on the road. I have Dennis Stevermer and DJ Buckley. Always, they travel with me. They don't ever leave me alone. These guys are my travel mates. Then I have Jerry whenever he travels, so it helps when they tell you, when I ask these guys, should I stop firing? And they say, fuck no, we are here to win.
Yeah.
That's the kind of support that you have to surround yourself with.
Well said. I mean, honestly, I got a strong support system. Like you said, my wife is my number one. I can, everything can go back and forth between her and I. She supports me. And secondly, like I travel with Wes and I travel with Ganya. Those are my 2 boys that I travel with. And we get to experience each other's ups and downs, just like you do with Dennis and DJ and all that. We get to, and when the other person's down, or if I'm down, for example, Wes is always there to kind of pick me back up and be like, we're grinders. This is part of the game. Keep your head high. Let's go beat some people up to make you feel better. And then
I was going to say,
we have a lot of dark humor in between us that we won't share on the podcast, but we like to, bring each other up. And like you said, that support is super, super important to keep you motivated in the poker grind. So,
yeah. And poker is hard. And then people don't know, poker is very hard. People don't know whether the people that are firing 20, 30 times, whether they are backed or not.
Yeah.
They have no clue. They don't know. They don't know. Do we talk about it publicly? No. Does anyone talk about it? No. I know some of the best players in the country are backed. Some of the high stake players in the country are backed by the same 2 people.
Yeah.
I mean, so when I'm firing, am I really firing with my money or someone else's money? Who cares? Yeah. As long as my support system, my supporting group is happy, my backers are happy. And, if I made people some money on a swap or 2 here and there in the last 2 weeks, you know what? God bless them. I'm happy.
I've been living off swaps for like 5 years now, so I'm pretty high. I feel like I'm just kidding.
Me too.
I heard of
swaps.
Do you want to talk about your swaps, or should we leave that?
Yeah, let's talk about it. I had 2 players that I swapped with last year where I made a lot of money. I'll tell you the first one.
I know one of them.
Yeah, first one is the guy bags on a Thursday in the Mystery Bounty event.
Yep.
And previous week, we had a swap in place where we got him unstuck, and he tells me the previous week, hey, man, if you want to stop swapping, we can. And I said, nah, this train keeps going, bro. We ain't stopping, you know? So it was so unlikely. He bagged like 800K in mystery bounty at WSOP. And he sends me a text, hey, the next day, there's 3 more flights. If you want to come get your 10%, you're going to have to come at least enter and then leave. All right. So I said, I'm not playing in this shit show. Then on a Friday, he said the same thing. Saturday, he said the same thing. He just wanted me to show up. So I showed up. On a Sunday, I cashed, and I told him I'm leaving the next day. I watched them pull the first 2 bounties. It was $1,000 a pop. All right. So I left. I went to the airport. I'm at Chili's, and
by the way, I've ate at that Chili's probably 100 times in the airport every time on my way home.
Yeah, I'm eating at Chili's. And
that Delta flight home.
Yeah. I'm eating at Chili's, and I text my wife, and I told my wife, I swear I thought he was gonna pull the million, and Allison tells me, well, since you're at the airport, he's gonna pull it, and you're gonna have to go back.
And what was the result?
And then I get a text from him saying, he says, got him. And I call back, I text him back. I said, got what? Then Josh Reichart sends me a text saying, your boy pulled a millie. Back. And,
bravo.
Then I stayed 3 extra days or 2 extra days. I played at the Venetian, got like 24th in the MSPT, blah, blah. Make the long story short. I mean, those are the kind of people you want to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
I have a funny story to go off of that.
Yeah, let me hear it.
So that Thursday, DJ bagged in the Mystery Millions. I also bagged the same flight of the Mystery Millions. That first Thursday, I got through. So he and I run into him in the casino area, and we both, I think I bagged 600, he bagged 800, but whatever. Yeah. We just chatted for a couple minutes. I think he made some joke about, I should listen to your guys' Mystery Bounty podcast or something. I'm like, whatever. We were just chatting, and we wished each other luck and said goodbye. And then as I was walking away, I'm like, maybe I should have swapped a couple percent, just asked him swap 2 or 3%. And we could just, not even for the tournament, but just to make it easy. Like if one of us wins over 50K, that's how it counts. I'm like, whatever. So I bust out of the day 2 kind of early on. I actually missed a chance at a bounty, but whatever. I bust out. I take a walk. I register for the 1500 6 max, and I'm playing it. I get our max, our group text. Someone sends a link of a video, and it's like, whoa, DJ just pulled the second million.
I was in the room. I was still in day 2 when he pulled that millie. I was there sitting there watching. I was just so hyped because obviously DJ is one of the greatest players and greatest guys to come out of Minnesota. So.
Yeah. And I was happy for him. And
Wes, had you asked him for a swap, he would have said yes to you because that's what a nice guy he is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Not because you're good, Wes, just because he's a nice guy.
Yeah, not because I had any chance at pulling a bounty.
Because Wes, you're a good guy yourself. You guys are stand-up dudes. You guys are good guys. This is why your podcast is successful. I don't do interviews and poker. I just poker news because I like Chad Holloway, but I don't like to be out in public like this. I asked Dennis Stevermer what he thought, whether I should be on here or not, and he said, "Yeah, you should be on there."
Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, you're kind of hot right now, so. I said, yeah. So
very.
Yeah. So that's why I got on here, because I like you guys, but you guys have a great reputation. You are not going to make anyone look bad. And in the process, if you guys ever want to swap, we both make day 2. All you got to do is ask. I'm never going to say no. I mean, we'll figure out a percentage.
Yeah.
And I have to take you up on a lot of day 2s, guys.
Yeah. Well, maybe I know Max and I are going to be at the Iowa MSPTs in March here. So.
Yeah, I would love to. If we make day 2 together, I would love to do small swaps, and then it'll be a nice sweat because I know how well you boys run in Iowa. Max got a win in Iowa. Yep. You got a 70K score, so I might end up like dunking it up and not make it to day 2 and just reap the benefits of being with 2 wizards.
Umit,
That works for me.
let's take a second and talk about this hoodie you got on. So a lot of the people will be listening via audio here, but so before I say what I'm seeing here, this past weekend in Milwaukee, all of a sudden I saw this brand that I was seeing everywhere, and I wasn't too familiar with it, and now you're wearing it as well. Do you want to tell the listeners a little bit about it and what's going on with that?
Yeah, so Kyle Wagner and Britta Delafield from Iowa, they just recently got engaged. Congratulations, you two.
Congrats.
They started this brand. It's essentially a backpack brand, but they evolved into hoodies. And eventually, they ended up partnering up with MSPT and became their sole apparel provider.
Okay.
So they were a startup, and I have a very soft spot for a startup. Initially, I reached out to them, see how can I help them. Angela Jordison was their first ambassador, and a month later, they asked me if I want to be an ambassador. I said, again, I had to talk to some of my smarter friends, and does it benefit me? No, it doesn't benefit me to be wearing someone's brand, but would it benefit them and would it be helpful? And the answer was yeah, because I mean, I go to every MSPT stop. I happen to be the previous player of the year, so I said yeah, and I was on my way to almost getting a second one, and that's how I got into it. And tomorrow they're gonna run a back-to-back player of the year special after this podcast goes off on Thursday to Sunday night, where all hoodies will be 50% off.
Definitely, guys, go take a look at that. I will put a link to their website in the description of this podcast. So if you guys are interested in getting half off some sweet gear, make sure to check that out. You can find the link for that in the description. I mean, so is this going to be MSPT collab stuff? And also the name of the company is Tilted Compass. Tilted Compass. I'm not sure if we've mentioned that yet, but is this going to be MSPT collab gear always, or is that just kind of special stuff?
They have their own brand for Tilted Compass, and then they have MSPT collab gear. For instance, for Wisconsin, they had MSPT, the same thing in red. I'm wearing the Minnesota colors for our football team.
Okay.
But they had the Wisconsin Badgers colors. They had the Packers colors, So every stop there will be a color for that city, state, but there will be other colors too. So when people go on the website, check it out. You guys are helping a startup who's eventually going to be pretty amazing, hopefully by this summer.
And I mean, the gear itself just looks really good and comfortable. It does. It
looks
really
high quality from here.
I mean, my guy Richie Alsop wore it in WPT and the televised table. Josh Reichard wears it. Aaron Johnson wears it. Let's see. I'm sure you guys are going to be wearing it soon.
You will see us wearing it for sure.
Yeah, we'll have some of it on for sure.
Your top players are wearing the gear. Only reason I'm wearing it is because, not that I'm a top player, because I'm supporting the brand. Yeah. It is what it is.
I like that you had one of the, you grow on me more and more, and I will say that because like you were just mentioning, like it's not because it's in the benefit of you, it's just because you like helping other people, and we need more people to have that mindset. It's just, you don't have to do everything for your own favor. And that's not poker related. That's just being a good person.
Yeah, we just got, I don't know, trying to be good. I mean, look there.
Wes, take a look here, taking it, learn from Umit here.
Well, Wes is an outstanding human, so are you. But we have so many good people in poker, that, I probably didn't mention, you got guys like Louis Hillman. I'm not really, we are acquaintances. Good guy. I mean,
Max is a good friend with him. Yeah.
Louis actually. I'll see that guy tomorrow. Shout out to Louis Hillman.
Guy, great guy. You got Robert O'Connell, another good guy.
Yeah, I'll see Robert tomorrow too, and John Redding.
Yeah, you got all these good guys. I mean, you got Gania. He's a killer. I mean, he's a silent assassin. You got, I don't know. My point is there are a lot of good guys, and then there are some bad guys, and at some point, you gotta block out the noise and surround yourself with the good.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I really like the way you said that.
Wes, I do have one more question, then I'll kind of let you get a chance. All right, I'm just kidding. So the MSPT recently, this Milwaukee stop, they did a change up in their structure to a 100K starting stack. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have any? I was talking with some other players over the weekend on their thoughts of it. It seems to kind of almost be very similar in terms of structure wise. Do you have any more inside information onto why they did that, or is that going to be a consistent thing? This is genuine curiosity from myself for the
Sure,
future.
sure. So, look, when you win back-to-back Player of the Year, you don't like change. All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
We didn't have the structure last year.
Yep.
I went to San Diego with the structure and I got killed. All
Okay.
right. Because I couldn't figure out what I need to do at level 6, level 9, level 12, level 15.
Yep.
I didn't know what that number was, that magic number for me to bring to day 2. So I was really, I told Brian, I said, dude, I don't like your structure. It's horrible. Now I love it since I got second,
Yeah.
So it plays deeper from levels 6 to 12. At level 12, you are buying in for 10 bigs versus on a 30K structure where you are buying in for 7.
Yep.
Day 2, after level 18, plays faster. So you are almost feeling like in day 2, even, you are always between 10 to 12 bigs. So you got to stay above that. On day 2, with 65 players to go, I had 4 bigs. And
Wow.
then I had to figure out how to play 4 bigs. And I kept telling myself, hey, look, you've been here before. Structure doesn't matter. Just get to the redraw. On to the next hand. Later on in the day, when you get to, deep to level 22, 23, 24, it plays faster.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you are experienced like someone like Arlo made it really deep and took a stinker with pocket queens. I think he got like 23rd. Kind of called us all in. He shot for I think 12 bigs after kind of raised pre, and kind of called her with ace 8 and flop was 5-6 junk, and then turn is a 7, river is a 4.
Oh, that's a dirty one.
Stuff like that. You gotta get lucky, but it does play different. You have to be conscious, and we are only gonna see this at few stops because only few stops like San Diego and Porto, where Wisconsin or Milwaukee, we could use the MSPT chips for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think and it's better for players like me who are rec and who has rec friends who are weekend warriors. All right. It's easier for us to now sit down with 100,000 at level 1, and 100,000 seems like piles.
Yep.
Right. And you guys asked me earlier a question about exploitive poker.
Yep.
And I'll give you guys this. This they don't teach in these books, but if you guys watch someone like Michael Adamo, or
Yep.
you guys watch him play early on the days, he raises 6x the big line, or depending on. So when I play, I'm very player specific on my raises. So if I'm raising Wes 2x, I'm raising you 2x. Then I get someone like Crazy Carl at my table. He's getting 8x because I know he's going to pay me off no matter what.
Okay.
Mhm.
I like that, a lot of people aren't making those, those adaptations or those changes, those deviations from their normal play based on their opponent type. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. I haven't experienced it a lot. I haven't experienced or, experimented with it a lot. I cannot talk today, so sorry about that. But
And add to that, look, I got the Dan Beckevac's table at level 12 or level 11 on Friday with 65,000 chips, and he had 965.
oh
All right.
my,
Dan is a 4-time MSPT winner, whom I have great respect as a poker player. All right.
okay,
But, when you get on a table with Dan, Dan wants to see, excuse me for saying this, who's got the biggest dick as an
Yep.
MSPT winner or player of the year. You know what I mean?
100%. It seems fitting. Yeah.
Yep. So it's all about, he's got 965. I have 65K. I was never folding any hands against Dan.
Yep.
And he was never folding against me.
Yeah.
And I went from 65K to 965, and he busted in the next 45 minutes. My point is, I am very player specific. I mean, I had a buddy, very good buddy of mine. We were at the same table. He goes, dude, why are you? He literally said this out loud on day 2 with 18 players to go. He goes, why'd you just raise that guy's big line? Why'd you 5X it when you 2X everybody else's? Then once it hit him, what I did, I didn't even respond. I was like, dude,
you're not gonna.
You're gonna say I'm picking on him? Yeah.
You gotta be the dumbest fucking person in the room. Then he sends me a text while we are playing. He's apologizing to me, dude. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to say that. My point is, I'm very, very player specific on day 1s and day 2s. If I watch you play in day 2s, where in day 2 the other day, I didn't play a hand for 3.5 hours. I went from 1.6 million to 450K.
Okay.
I mean, I was essentially, I don't know, think about someone that's tight. I essentially became DJ Buckley. I don't know, someone that knows how to preserve his stack and ladder up.
He does.
Yeah.
That's a great observation for sure. Yeah.
So going back to that, so I just wanted to make sure that, and I'm okay with busting against a player that's high variance. I'm very okay with that. I have a problem misplaying a hand against someone like Wes or you. All right. Okay. I have a big problem with that. That goes down to my hand history. That's something that I have to discuss with the coaches and then figure out where I went wrong. All right. Those are the problems I have. When I play Josh Reichard at the same table, we are not playing for piles. I'm playing for chip preservation. When I play Mo Nuara, same thing. Mo is another player from the Midwest that's up and coming. He's an MSPT winner. He's a bracelet winner.
Bracelet, yeah.
All within like the last year, I think, or something.
And if he wanted to do this full time, he can. He's that freaking good.
Yeah.
So my point is, I'm very player specific, and then there are certain players who I respect. I'm not disrespecting their game, like Crazy Carl. All right, I love his game. I think he's amazing. Dan, he's amazing. But when I get to that table, one of us is going bust.
Yeah, I like it, and you're adaptive, and I think that kind of fits my narrative earlier, where I think that one of your strengths is your ability to change gears or adapt, and it seems less of just of structure-wise adaptation, like you're changing from early game to late game. You're changing just straight up opponent specific.
Every hand, depending on who's in the hand, my position. It depends on how I mean, look, at Canterbury Park, if I 3X someone's big blind from the button, fellas, 95% of the time, nobody's clicking back. They are flatting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right? Nobody.
Yep.
Then there's that 5% of the people that I listed, including you guys. You guys are the only ones that's going to fight back and 4X it and see what I'm going to do. Josh Reichard is going to, I 3X is big. He's going to 4X me. He's going to anticipate a 5X. And it's coming because at that point, I mean, what are we doing here, guys? If everybody plays the same style at the WSOP main event, if everybody played the same style as let's say GTO with no exploitive poker, then we'll just have same results to see who got luckier. All right. But the people that win.
Well said.
The people that win, the people like Chance Cornuts that run deep in the main event. And then, he punted this past year, and he admits that he punted because he had an edge against the field against that kid that plays Ace Deuce or Dirty Diaper.
Yeah, Ace King, and he ran into aces with Ace King. I remember that. They're both the two chip leaders at the table.
It was like 100 big blinds with Ace King.
It's because
into
the
Rigby,
other player,
right?
Yep, Rigby.
The other player who's known as the Dirty Diaper player, the other player got such a high IQ. Once he changes his gear, even some of the best players in the world doesn't see it.
You're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you are 100% right.
So my overall comment about poker is, one, it's extremely hard. It's not for the weak-minded. And lastly, it's not for someone who's a lone ranger. All right?
Well said. Well said.
Even the quietest players that we travel with, the guys that won multiple player of the years in different tours, they have a support system there. We just don't see it.
Yep.
Yeah. They got the coups and they got the Ians and they got their friends. We just don't see it. And That's why they are successful.
Umut, it's been really, really nice just chatting with you today and getting to hear how you look at poker, how you think about poker, what's important to you. Wes, do you have any last topics you want to kind of discuss with Umut here before we start wrapping things up?
Yeah. I mean, there's a decent amount I'd love to get into. I know we're on a certain schedule here. I think I just had a couple comments just to boil down all that strategy talk you kind of went into there. I think the biggest thing is just like always be thinking and paying attention when you're at the table, because you can study a bunch of stuff off the table, but you always need to be paying attention to the times when you can implement it at the table. And speaking as someone who, even though might seem a little bit very GTO compared to maybe you guys or maybe a lot of live players, like I believe I have a foot in both camps. Like I know that when if
I agree
I'm
with
playing,
that, by the way.
yeah,
I've seen it at Riverside.
Yeah. Is so like I can say if I'm making mistakes, I know sometimes maybe it's like I get too rigid in the GTO side where I have, maybe it's almost an egotistical thing where I think someone is not that good of a player, so I'm just going to default to my normal play and not even pay attention. But what I really should be doing is like thinking of the absolute best way to maximize my winnings against that. Identify the mistakes and then figure out how to maximize against them. Yeah. And not just do it in a subtle way, but Umut, like you said, there's some players that you'll open 5x because you just know they're going to defend the big blind with any two, regardless of your size. So, and that differs based on the player. And so I think that was a really good set of examples that you gave. And I definitely agree with. The other thing is I just wanted to kind of ask in terms of the MSPT. So you got 2 player of the years in a row here, and you're already way ahead because you have 2 final tables in the first 5 weeks of the year. So
right? There's only been 2 events, hasn't there so far?
3.
Oh, there's been 3. Okay.
I was horrible in San Diego.
Oh, second and a fourth though to make up for it with no.
Yeah, I'll take it.
So the question being, is your plan this year to at least continue playing a lot of MSPTs?
Well, I'm going to play the next 2 in Cleveland and in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
This is all up to my wife when I can play, if I can play. If she allows me to play, yeah, I'm going to show up. I don't think I could win 3 in a row. It's too hard. The grind is real. The players that are in there that are grinding, they are too good. Someone like, look, I tell you guys what, there's 3 players that I struggle against at all times. All right. And I haven't mentioned them. And I'll tell you, if these 3 players played MSPT consistently, I have 0 shot. I was at a final table with John Hanner, Robbie Waswas, Blake Bond, DQ Dan, John Kukai, Richie also at Canterbury a few years ago. John Hanner came to the table with the shortest stack, and Robbie Waswas at 3.5 million. Somehow, some way, John Hanner took all his chips.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So when I play with John Hanner, I think when he's got clarity, when he's playing, he takes a scalpel and dissects players like I have never seen before.
That's very well put, and I agree with you. John is such a strong exploitative player.
He's a sicko. And if John Hanner showed up to 5 MSPT events, he would have 3 final tables. If he's got clarity, if he hit his golf balls that morning, if whatever, he's gonna do that well.
Good reference.
Right? The second player who is gonna win a big one this year is Loki. You guys know Loki.
Loki's a killer too, and he puts the time in.
Loki's been coached. He's still being coached. He's gonna win massive, big scores this year. I struggle against Loki.
Yeah.
Because Loki is just different.
Yep.
Plays different. He adjusts accordingly. That's the second guy. And if Loki played MSPTs as much as I have 0 chance at a 3-peat. All right? And the last player I struggle against, I'm sorry for listing this out without, unprompted, but I'm just trying to make a point.
Not a problem.
Is Jason Self.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason.
Super instinctual. All right. If you talk to Ian, when you look at Ian Metakis' record in the past 5 years, him and Jason are the only ones that clashed at running aces heads up.
Yep.
Jason is not afraid at all. And I love that about him.
One of the best. If he played more, he would win. But my point is, if Loki, if Hanner, if Sel, and all you and Max, if you guys played as much as I have no chance of a three-peat. All right? And I know that because if the Coos and Ians and Richies and Robbies and Aarons, John Reddings and these guys, David Ganias, if they played as much as I have, I don't have a chance because there are levels to this game, fellas. You got to know where you are at. Gania dismantled me at Grand Falls when he won his championship. That's one of the spots that I didn't make day 2. All right. But I just admired what he did. All right. Hanner. I have never been busted by anyone as much as I have been busted by Hanner ever. I mean, every tournament I play, we get on the same table, somehow I'm going to go rebuy. It's just, it's not that he's in my head. It's just that here I am playing checkers. This guy is playing 5-dimensional chess. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And I'm thinking here we are flipping and he's got jacks and I got 8s and I'm not flipping, So my point is we got a lot of good players and no, I'm not going for a three-peat. It's just too hard, too much of a time commitment. I'm just rooting for a guy like Mo Nuwara or Rijkaard or Hanner or Loki or a Minnesota guy that we like Gania. You got Jerry, Dennis, I'm rooting for people that I like. Meanwhile, at the same time, I am rooting for someone like Carney to ship a big 1K just so he could get the monkey off his bet.
Let me pause you for a second. We don't say anything good about Carney on this podcast. This is a Carney shit-talking zone only.
Look, man, Carney, if it wasn't for Carney, I don't make any of these runs. Carney spotted the donkey and he spotted the top 5 player 5 years ago.
And Carney knows that us saying this is all in good love because we love him and we know, and he is an incredible poker player, an incredible human. So to anyone who's listening and doesn't catch that, just so you know.
Amazing. So these guys are all good. I just, like I mentioned to you, some of these other players earlier, if they played MSPTs as much as I do, I don't even think I cracked the top 10. And I'll be very straightforward and honest with you guys, and you guys will hear me say this over and over. I have my own top 20 list of poker players in Minnesota, all right? And I'm not even in my own top 20 because that's the talent pool is that deep. And
Minnesota has a really tough poker scene, but it's good.
There are so many people that I have seen that have made moves in these events. That's incredible. I mean, you got Sean Hinton last year at MSPT Running Aces that came out of nowhere.
Shout out to Sean. Yep.
And then he ended up going to Firekeepers and ran deep the following week there or 2 weeks later. My overall point is we have such a deep player pool. I just happen to be fortunate enough where I have people that like me enough to back me. I have people that like me enough to support me. And then I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Enemy of the State.
Yep.
With Will Smith.
Yep. Wes wasn't born yet, obviously, but you and I have.
I haven't seen a lot of movies in general.
I'm sure our listeners have. There's a scene at the end of the movie. I might give something away, whatever. The movie's 20 years old, so if you haven't seen it and I'm giving something away. There's a scene at the end of the movie when the government guy is asking the head of the mob, what is it going to take me to get the videotape back? And the guy's response is end of the world. All right.
It's not happening.
It's not happening. So my overall point for that is we got too many great players from Minnesota. Anybody that commits, they can win it. And I just want the player of the year to either go to Minnesota player or to Josh or to Mo Nuwara. I mean, that's what I want.
Good answer.
I don't want some luck box coming in, winning the last 3 events of the year and winning it. Because if I feel like that's going to happen, then it's such a long season and such a long grind. If I'm in the mix at the end of the year with 3 months to go, this past year, Josh Reichart chased me down. No, actually, I had to chase him down.
And Waz too.
Huh?
Yep.
And Waz too.
Robbie Waz.
Waz, the bracelet winner. I mean, I had to get 9,500 points to beat Robbie Waz. In any other year, I would have needed 6,000.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, I think that was the highest that the points have ever gotten up to is what you reached.
Yeah, so the talent pool is incredible. People like you two who advocate in favor for our local players and players like, you guys advocated Jeremy Becker, a stud, a killer, Ari Engel, killer.
Yeah.
Everybody else that's been on the podcast. You guys are great ambassadors for the game.
Thank you.
We appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, and I'm very fortunate to be here tonight. I think this was the right decision, and overall, you guys keep doing what you are doing. Let me know if there's anything I could do for you. I'm always here. I'll push the brand, and then let's go. I mean, I expect big scores. I know you guys are playing the Winter Poker Classic.
You will be there.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. We'll be rocking our tilted compass gear too.
I want to see some pictures, boys. I want to see let's go.
Umut, again, thank you so much. Not only for the kind words, but also your commitment to poker in the community and growing it, and your kindness and pushing that constantly. Let's go ahead and wrap this up with one last question. We ask all of our guests this. I'm sure you've heard it many times before. Is poker an art or a science?
It's an art.
I love that. I love how committed you were to that. Do you have anything? Do you want to elaborate further, or just leave it at that?
It's played by humans, and humans make tons of mistakes. We are very flawed individuals. As humans. We are very flawed. At any moment, as an art form, you could move the game of poker to any medium that you want. And by that, what I mean is Wes can play 8-6 off from the button and can get rewarded on day 2 and get piles.
Yep.
All right. But at the same time, Wes can play aces the same way from the button and get piles in day 2 or day 1. It's an art, and each of us are artists, and we are all painting our own Sistine Chapel.
Thank you for that, man.
But I think that's the best answer we've had
by far. I mean, bar none. That's
what I do. That's what I do.
You got a way with words, Umut. We can appreciate that. Well, thank you again, Umut, for taking the time. I will say right now that there's got to be a future date where you come join us again, and we maybe even dive further and just hear more from you about the game we love. So,
and I also want to hear some more predictions from you at some point.
More
predictions. I feel like you've got your lists.
I made tons of predictions. I'm telling you guys right now, John Redding will win a bracelet this summer.
I love it.
Yep.
Jay Buckley is going to win a bracelet this summer.
Yep.
Richie and Robbie will both win a bracelet. And then Brad Jansen and Josh Reichart will win another bracelet.
Hey, shout out to our boy Brad, who hasn't been mentioned yet. But that's Wes and I's roommate in Vegas.
Brad is my guy. Brad's
he's the man.
Bracelet. And then, of course, you got
Ben McCoy. Sorry, got to add Ben McCoy in there.
Add Ben.
And then you have your real artist. You got the Da Vinci's, the Coos and the Ians and Aaron Johnsons. They're gonna win bracelets. Minnesota is gonna. And like I said, anybody that wants to make a bet for a number of bracelets for Minnesota this summer, slide into my DMs. I'll talk to my backers depending on what the odds I'm getting. Yeah, okay. I'm willing to bet. I got a lot of faith in the Minnesota players and the Midwest players. Ari Engel will win a bracelet.
That's probably a guarantee. Yeah,
you will.
One more name I want to add into the list that I didn't is our boy that upcoming Killers puts a lot of time into studying and playing Steve Schmidt.
Oh, I love Steve Schmidt.
Yeah.
I can't forget about Steve. He's our boy, and he's putting in the time, and I expect big things from him as well. So
the reason I couldn't mention Steve Schmidt was we were talking about the younger players. Then Steve and I, he and I text. Steve is an incredible human.
He is. He really is.
And he puts the time in. Steve went deep, I think, this summer.
The Monster Stack.
Monster Stack. Yep.
Got seconded.
Yep.
And let me tell you guys something. Before I let you guys go. Aaron Johnson, Koo, and Ian are your Mount Rushmore of Minnesota poker. All right. So I don't have to say anything about those guys. Those are just, they stood the test of time at Richie, Blake, and Robbie. You know,
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said.
they
And-
were,
And
ahead,
as
Wes.
far as Steve, I was just going to say, Steve's a good friend too. I think he's one that people might not know as much about because he does a lot of he plays a lot online and he puts in a lot of work behind the scenes. So he's not out there firing every live event like some people, but
He's passionate and he's hungry and he puts in effort, and that
yeah,
will pay
and
off.
that's
the recipe
he's always
for success,
improving.
so.
Yeah.
And also, lastly, guys, when you guys discuss a hand on Discord about the way I played from one of your Discord members, all right, just keep in mind there's two sides to the story. All right, how I perceive the game versus how they perceive what I should be doing. My job isn't to do what's in their perception. My job is to take their chips.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well said, brother.
That is the name of the game.
Too. You can't play like the way they want you to play. You want an MSPT. You got a 200K score. You got a 100K score. I mean, you guys are not only ambassadors, but you guys are fucking killers.
We appreciate that.
This
Thanks so
is
much. Yeah.
We're, the juice himself just juicing us up, man. Thanks,
100%.
Umut.
100%.
Thank you so much, brother. Hope you have a good rest of your night. We'll look forward to seeing you. Whatever stop is, I know you may not be playing anything around Minnesota here soon, but whether it's MSPT or it's Minnesota, we can't wait to see you. And I'll get you that picture of us wearing some of that sweet gear you got.
Oh man, I would love it. Thanks so much. Thank you for having me. And then I want to see pictures, guys. I want to see you guys in the winner's circle in the next couple of months.
All right, man. We'll try our best for sure. Have a good one, Umut.
Thanks, Umut.
Bye. Thank you.